Moreover, the plaintiffs contended that the defendant's violation of the administrative code voided the contract, thereby entitling the plaintiffs to summary judgment. With respect to this second argument, the plaintiff maintained that the administrative code, section 27, required that no building construction, alteration, or plumbing work may be commenced until a written permit had been issued, and that Administrative Code Section 27 prohibited the conversion of a property into a dwelling for more than the legally approved number of families. Specifically, the plaintiffs argued, without citing to a specific contract provision, thus, since the contract required that the defendant comply with law, and if complying with such laws was impossible, and or required action which was not in compliance with the building code, since the garage had already been converted to a living space complete with a wall and windows, there was the garage door and the addition of a bathroom, stove, and gas line, etc., the contract itself was void, and defendant had an entitlement to force plaintiffs to close title and retain their down payment for refusing to do so. The plaintiffs also contended that Administrative Code Section 26-126.1 detailed the penalties, including progressive fines, for which a person found to be in violation of the Administrative Code would be responsible. In reply to the defendant's opposition, the plaintiffs also referred to paragraph 4 of the contract, which stated that the property was to be transferred subject to the laws and governmental regulations that affect the premises, provided that the premises did not violate these laws and regulations. Upon hearing an oral argument on the plaintiff's motion for summary judgment, the Supreme Court denied the motion and granted the defendant's cross motion for summary judgment. Although counsel for the plaintiffs argued that the contract mandated that the premises were to be compliant with all of New York City ordinances, and the papers submitted to the Supreme Court by the plaintiffs in support of their motion cited to specific provisions of the Administrative Code, the plaintiffs alleged that it was violated, and counsel for the plaintiffs failed to apprise the Supreme Court of those sections of the Administrative Code during oral argument, and erroneously stated that the papers may not have specifically cited it. The plaintiffs moved for leave to renew and re-argue their motion for summary judgment. In their motion, which the Supreme Court properly identified as being one for leave to re-argue only, although already having contended in their original motion papers that the contract required the defendant to comply with the law, and having noted this specific provision in their reply, the plaintiffs specifically cited to paragraph 4A of the contract in the moving papers. Paragraph 4A of the contract stated that the premises were in the transferred subject to laws and governmental regulations that affect the use and maintenance of the premises, provided that they are not violated by the buildings and improvements erected on the premises. Leave to re-argue was granted by the Supreme Court, and upon hearing oral argument, the Supreme Court adhered to the original determination. Upon re-argument, the Supreme Court should have vacated the order dated February 8, 2008, and granted the plaintiff's original motion for summary judgment. With respect to the plaintiff's motion for summary judgment, the plaintiffs established their prima facie entitlement to judgment as a matter of law by showing that the property was not in compliance with the relevant Administrative Code ordinances, despite the warranty and representation in the contract that the property was not in violation of any application, laws, or ordinances. See PAM Realty Corp. versus Dollar Service Corporation, 36, Appellate Division 2nd, 249, 461, New York Supplement 2nd, 393. The general rule is that where a person agrees to purchase real estate which at the time is restricted by laws or ordinances, he will be deemed to have entered into the contract subject to the same. An exception exists where the contract contains a provision whereby the seller warrants and represents that upon purchase the property and its structures will not be in violation of any zoning ordinance or regulation.